Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Landy Lodge. Today, we are talking about FF7 Rebirth again. The devs, they just keep dropping new bits, new interviews. We've got an ESRB rating that we can talk about. So, definitely enough to fill up at least an hour of a podcast. So, I'm looking forward to getting into it. But anyway, before we get into it, shout out to the Sages of the Lodge. Beautiful names you see right here. YouTube channel members, or they use the link in the description to become sages. However you do it, we don't mind. But anyway, as I always say, that kind of stuff is just a bonus. All I ask is that you come hang out. Come tune in. All right. So without further ado, I suppose we should get into the ESRB rating. I think this is probably the most fun thing we could talk about today. There's a lot of fun stuff. I also may have some critiques I want to share. Not about Ever Crisis. We went over that last time. And I do maintain that Ever Crisis is the best mobile game I've ever played. But I want to talk a little bit about what the devs have been dripping out. But anyway, I see we got a number of you in here already. Hyrule Falcone, Will's Word, Andy Brew, and Granddaddy Otaku. That's what I'm talking about. We got a nice little crew hanging out here. Cheers, everybody. Take a swig for the hard and working men and women of Square Enix. Okay. Nice. I was just on FF7 Ever Crisis when I saw this alert. Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing, isn't it? We're living in the future. Okay. So let's talk about this ESRB rating. And you know what? Let's not give GameStop and Walmart and all of them a free advertisement by leaving them on the display. Come on now. There we go. Now let's do this. Check Twitch when you can and have a lovely stream. Oh, Lance! 37 months, baby, says can't stay because these interviews they're doing are getting a bit wild, but love and appreciate you. Yeah, there's one particular interview we're going to cover today that I think is a little bit too spoilery. If you're watching, you will get a warning. I will warn you before we get to that part. But there's some stuff that... Anyway, we'll get to it. Lance, thank you for that, man. It's good to see you here. All right, let's read this. This is an action role-playing game. And if I'm recalling correctly, this dropped either earlier today or yesterday. Excuse me. Just ate. Literally right before getting on, so I just stuffed my face, so my gut's still catching up. Anyway, this is an action role-playing game in which players follow the story of a mercenary Cloud Strife on a quest to save the planet from evil. Players explore fantasy landscapes, perform missions, and battle monsters and soldiers in frenetic melee combat. Characters use swords, staffs, guns, and magic spells to fight monsters and human soldiers. Combat is highlighted by impact sounds, cries of pain, and explosions. So, all right, first third, everything. Everything we already knew. Spoil me, Papa Lodge. We'll get there. We'll get there, and there'll be a heads up. Joshua Currian says, I just need a large playable Zack portion. I think you might get that. I think you might get that. But yeah, everything there is run of the mill, so let's keep it going now. Cutscenes depict further instances of violence, sometimes with splatters / pools of blood. Characters impaled or slashed by swords, sometimes with slow motion effects. An assassin throwing a spinning blade at a targeted figure. Characters shot by soldiers. Okay, let's cover the less spicy part first, which would be an assassin throwing a spinning blade at a targeted figure. So we know that's Yuffie. That's a layup. This seems a little deliberate, if you don't mind me saying. Sometimes with splatter... Hold on, I gotta sneeze. At least I think I do. Yuffie is gonna murder. She will. You're right about that, Andy Brew. Damn it, I've got this lingering sneeze, so I apologize if there's any awkward pauses in the next few minutes. It could be Cisne. It could be Cisne. Will's Word. You're thinking with the big brain right there. It could be Cisne. Well done. But here's my thing. Let's even minimize it a little bit more. Why is this not only technically one sentence, but sounds like it's explaining a particular scene? Sometimes with splatters / pools of blood, characters impaled, or slashed by swords. Sometimes with slow motion effects. Now look, in all of Remake, with all the slashing and impaling we did, there were no slow motion effects. Look, regardless of the original, somebody's going down. Somebody is going down. Whether it's Aerith or Zack, somebody is going down. Ah, my favorite boss, lingering sneeze. Yeah, that's me, baby. That's me today. Okay. So, again, that seems a little peculiar that that's all strung together. But let's move on to some of the more fun stuff before we dive too deep into that, because anything on top of that is going to be conjecture, speculation, you know what I mean? Some female characters are designed with revealing outfits, deep cleavage. So, probably Scarlet, could be Tifa on the beach, but I'm going to go with Scarlet. Moving on. Suggestive dialogue sometimes accompanies camera panning / close-ups of character bodies / outfits. So somebody's getting a glamour shot. Somebody is getting a glamour shot. And again, the way this is worded, it seems like this is strung together. That with that, it goes, just admit it, you're obviously captivated by my bodacious beach bod. Now, to me, there are only two characters that would say that. It's either Yuffie or Scarlet. Or, I'll throw one more in. And I'm being serious. Hojo. It could, in theory, be Hojo. You know, in the original, he's chilling on Costa Del Soul, baby. He's leaning back. He's chilling, shirt off, you know what I mean? Like, my man Hojo is chilling in the original, dude. Like, my man Hojo's posted up in Costa Del Soul. It's very possible. Look, who knows what's under that lab coat? He could be working out. He could be injecting Jenova cells himself. In fact, no, probably not. They probably would have shown us something with that. But you get my point. It could be him. Granddaddy Otaku says you might have mentioned it before. So you think maybe Sonon will make some sort of appearance in Rebirth? If not Rebirth, the third installment, I think Sonon's coming back. I think that's a layup. He's got He's got way more Riz than Vincent, that's for sure. According to FF, it's true. Vincent's came with the ladies incredibly weak. Struggles to close the deal. Gets cucked by a scientist. Very weak game with the ladies. It's a surprise because Vincent, he's a handsome guy. He's obviously highly competent. You know, he had a job. He's, you know, kind of the foundation of the Turks. You know, he's a man with a storied history. He had a lot going for him. And he lost out to Hojo. And did you know, there used to be a theory back in the day, which is pretty much deconfirmed, but I suppose you never know what the new trilogy could do, is the theory was that Vincent was Sephiroth's biological father and that Lucrezia never told Hojo. I'm not buying it, but it's out there. Look into it for yourself. All right, where are we at? The game contains some alcohol content, so did the first one. As Cloud, players can drink a version of moonshine. Moonshine? While at a bar. Cutscenes sometimes feature drunk characters slurring their speech, probably Johnny. A handful of scenes depict characters smoking cigars or out of hookahs. I want to see Barrett smoke a cigar when they're on the ship and they're at sea. Can you imagine? I want to see Barrett in a sailor outfit, puffing a fat cigar, and maybe he could have a little bit of moonshine. We're already with the ESRB. Good day, night, time zone. Yeah, you know, maybe, did I put things on the thumbnail in a certain order? Oh, good. ESRB rating is first. So good, yeah. I don't think we're doing things in order of the thumbnail, but that's a coincidence. How are you, MA? I'm still on the side that Vincent is Sephiroth's real dad. Lindsay, if you're around after we cover all the news, I would love to hear you out. I would love for you to type in the chat your reasons for believing so. Sid smoking the cigar. Matt Hayes, Sage of the Lodge. I don't know if we're getting Sid. Oh, we've been over this. Never mind. Could be Sid. Could be Sid. I almost forgot that whole damn conversation. Okay. The words. How far into this episode are we? Okay, I'm good. The words shit, asshole, and prick appear in the game. Again, same standard of cursing you had in the original, not the original, but remake. The pools of blood is interesting, right? Because the first, like, FF7 remake did not show blood, deliberately did not show blood, which at times was a little disappointing, because one of the coolest parts, and look, I'm someone who absolutely loves both the original and remake. I am a fan of both. Really wasn't a fan of them replacing the blood trail with purple Jenova juice. Like, one of the coolest parts in the original is being in that Shinra building and you gotta follow the trail of blood. And they subbed that out in remake for the purple Jenova juice. And then don't forget, like, I think actually the best death, forget best death, look at both Jesse and Biggs' death in remake. Jesse and Biggs' death would have hit infinitely harder if they were bleeding. Like, when friggin' Biggs is coughing up, like, what's he coughing up? Spit? Those scenes would have hit a lot harder with blood. So, I'm curious, was like blood a deal breaker last time between T and M, but it's not a deal breaker anymore? I thought that was very weird. But hey, that's just me. That's just me. It's honestly kind of weird with how remake was kind of censored, but Rebirth seems to be going full in. Yeah, Dex holder. That's kind of what I'm getting on about now. Like, what the hell? Like, blood was... we couldn't do blood last time, but now we're doing blood. And this game's rated T? Was it the ESRB that changed? Or was it Square that changed? You know? Kevin is here. Math is math. FF7 is FF7. And good story is still a good story. True statements. Was remake the 4Kids version of FF7? Yes. Yes. And now everyone's old enough to handle the truth. But yeah, look, I mean, look, everything from here, for the most part, is not surprising. We expected a lot of this. However, this is weird to me. It almost seems like this is one scene, the way they're describing it, but let's not go down that road and just say it's covering the whole game. But again, splatters, pools of blood, impaled or slashed by swords, slow motion, which they would only use in like a super intense event. In fact, I believe the one time they used slow motion in remake was when Barrett got stabbed and everyone kind of reacted in slow motion. Probably the same thing they're gonna do here. All right. Also, I don't think Tifa will die. No, she ain't die. We're gonna talk about that, Granddaddy. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Yeah, so let me get the next one pulled up here. Next, I want us to talk a little bit about Costa del Soul. There was a cool interview with hobbyconsoles.com. that talked a lot about Costa del Sol. There's a few snippets in there I want to touch on. Then I've got some cool Ultimania stuff I wanted to brush up on, show you guys. And then I'm going to move into an interview that'll be rather spoiler heavy. Not spoiler heavy, but potentially could be spoilerish. So I'll let you know when we get there. In the meantime, let's pull up this Costa del Soul interview. Give me a second. Let me shrink this down. Perfect. Okay. Discovering the Costa del Soul in FF7 Rebirth. Costa del Soul is another location. Oh, what the hell? How did that happen? I don't know. Anyway, Costa del Soul is another location that we really want to see in Rebirth because crazy things happen here. They're like finding one of the villains sunbathing on the beach. We were just talking about that with Hojo. Here, let me get you guys pulled back up here. I think that all the people who want to see Costa del Soul are going to be very satisfied. We've taken all those details and little things that everyone remembers from the original and tried to expand on them to make them deeper and more exciting. Things like Red 13, the children playing with the ball, the meeting with Johnny at the hotel. I think you're going to really like what we've done with Costa del Soul. I think they kind of took, because like, if you guys remember from the original, yo, 9994, thank you for that Prime subscription over on Twitch. Can we give it up for 9994, everybody? Throwing a Prime sub at us. Thank you, dude. Cheers. Okay. Yeah, so, all right. So, Costa del Sol in the original was like such a reprieve from the journey. You know, it really did feel like your mini beach vacation. You know, you had the kids playing with the ball, Red 13, kind of chilling around them and stuff, hanging with them. You had, like we talked about, Hojo sunbathing on the beach. Everyone really kind of had a reprieve in Costa del Sol. And based on what we could see in the trailer, let's pull it up. Like, it looks like we're kind of getting the same deal. Did I go too far? Yeah. Like, it looks like we're pretty much going to get the same deal to the max. There we go. Same deal to the max. You know what I mean? We're going to be rolling around Costa del Sol. There's probably going to be a lot of mini games in Costa del Sol. Probably a lot of funny side quests in Costa del Sol. I don't know. I could just see Costa del Sol almost like not being gold saucer level of like chill, but it's going to be one of those places we'll want to keep coming back to throughout the journey. That's at least what I think. Will they finally confirm the FF10 connection? If they do, it's going to be the post-credit scene of the final game of the trilogy. They're not going to show their hand here. By the way, we haven't gotten the classic final trailer for FF7 yet. No, not for a bit. Not for a bit. Not until January. Not until January. Maybe Costa will be like a quality of life environment similar to TT, Twilight Town, and Kingdom Hearts 3, but on a grander scale. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Like, this is a place you can come chill. You're going to have outfits based on Costa del Sol, which that's an interesting thing too. You know, I forgot to prepare that, so I don't have the excerpt. But in one of the interviews that have come out lately, they've confirmed that you're going to be able to change the characters' outfits. Like, more than you did in Remake. Like, you will have some influence over what they wear, especially in certain places. But I know in, like, the big cutscenes, no matter what, they're going to be wearing their standard gear. Okay. Let's go back. Now that we mention it, is it also called Sunshine Coast in Japanese? Because it is a name, that is the name in Spanish. That's right. I don't quite remember. Gee, stop doing that. If it's called Costa del Sol because of the actual location, but it obviously means Coast of the Sun, right? So maybe they thought it looked good in Spanish and that it turned out to be a place that actually exists. The truth is, I think it was an accident. So what they're getting on there is an actual Costa del Soul out there, but they didn't name it after that location. They just liked the way it sounded. So it's kind of a coincidence. Okay. Moving on. This was an interesting part of this interview. I have some comments about it. This isn't the spoiler stuff, really. Give me a second. It has also been nailed to us why FF7 Rebirth is released on 2 discs, or if FF7 Rebirth's Echoes of Destiny, which that's whispers, are a representation of the angry fans, which I'm sorry. Look, you're allowed to not like what Remake is doing. I love it, but you're allowed to not like it. But if you thought Square Enix made the whispers to be an allegory to fans that didn't like what they were doing, I'm sorry. You might think you're a little bit more important than you are. Like, there's a little too much self-importance there. Like, Square Enix didn't come up with the whispers because you were going to be angry with their decision. It's a little self-important. So honestly, I don't even want to click that and get into it. But that's where that interview for Costa del Soul ends. Again, I think it's very cool. They're kind of giving the vibe that it's going to be a place of reprieve. A lot of things you could do. Tell them. That's what I'm saying. Dude, I'm sorry. If you thought the whispers were an allegory for you, come on, dude. Come on. Like, literally, Japanese media is based on taking the intangible, making it tangible, and making that either your enemy or your guide, right? It's all about taking these intangible things like darkness, like chaos, giving it a tangible vessel, and having to slay that vessel. They just wanted fate to be something tangible. They weren't trying to make you. Granddaddy Otaku said, yeah, I didn't think that at all. And at first I hated Remake, but on second playthrough, I started to come around. I heard that from a few people too. As it sits with you, you're kind of like, you know what? Maybe it's better this way. Like, maybe it's better to leave the original to be the original and let this trilogy be its own thing. And based on what we learned, I think things will stay, for the most part, very faithful to the original. Also, Remake isn't the only media to have fate be the enemy. Not even close. Not even close. They weren't the first, and they're not going to be the last. Okay. Let's move on to the next interview, which is fun. This one's got a little bit more to do with Zack. Let's pull this in. Okay. Zack's role in FF7 Rebirth, also coming to us from hobbyconsolas.com. Zack's role in FF7 Rebirth will be more important than we imagined. Those responsible give us clues about his future and that of the FF7 universe. All right. Let's get into that. I don't want to talk about the full thing. We'd be here forever if I went through the whole thing. But I had a few parts I wanted to bring up. Okay. Here we go. Zack's role in FF7 Rebirth. Zack stands, rise up. Zack stands, rise up. Why do I hear? Oh, that's why. This is playing. I heard some noises coming out of my headphones over on the end of the table. I'm like, what is that? It's like, it's this. It's like, what the hell's going on? We love our puppy, Zack the puppy. All right, let's get into it. It seems that Zack is going to have a very important role in FF7 Rebirth, and it is quite a coincidence that Crisis Core Reunion was released last year. Would you say that it's necessary to those that have played Crisis Core to understand the story of Rebirth? Hamaguchi says, if you want to emphasize more with Zack's character, feel and understand him better, then it is a good idea to have played Crisis Core before this game. You might get a different perspective on it. But the way he appears in this game and the story behind him is not directly related to what happens to him in Crisis Core. So, to understand and follow the story, you won't need to have played Crisis Core at all. But then again, if people are interested in Zack, it might be a good idea to play Crisis Core after Rebirth to learn more about the characters. So, when they talk like this, I don't always believe them. Right? When they're like, oh, you don't need to play the others to know what's going on here. But I think that what they're trying to say is, what Zack does in this game, it doesn't change what happened to him in Crisis Core, but it's going to be independent of what happened to him in Crisis Core. The extent to what extent that's true, I don't know. I don't know. But we'll see. I hope they don't kill Tifa in Rebirth. They won't, but they're going to try and scare you. Be ready for that, Ryan. They're going to try and scare you, dude. They're going to try and scare you into thinking it's happening. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to read this question too, and I think that, yeah, that covers it. Okay. In fact, Zack plays a very important role in FF7 Rebirth by helping to tell the story in its entirety. In Remake, we had those entities called Echoes, Whispers. I like Echoes better. I have to say, Echoes is better. Echoes is better. Going on. That were used to show doubts about how the story was going to continue and play with people's expectations. What is going to happen? How is it going to end? Is it going to be different? What do I expect? At the end of the game, when they break through the barriers of destiny, suddenly anything was possible, and people didn't know what was going to happen from that point on. The Whispers are very involved in all of this, and Zack takes on a very similar role in Rebirth. Zack takes on a similar role? That's interesting. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. Anyway, let's finish this, then we can think about it. Through Zack, you will discover more about what happened after you broke through the restrictions of fate and escaped the timeline. So there's going to be, if not a playable Zack section, there's going to basically be a mini Zack movie. You know? You are going to discover what could really be happening and how it all could end. He plays a very important role in all of that. Sorry, I had to mute myself there. Okay. So I think fans of Zack and Crisis Core in the original game are going to be happy to see more of him. And I think he's going to have even more fans after this. Yeah, I could see that. I could see this being a big break for Zack. Zack DLC, possibly? Possibly. Possibly. So, they're basically saying that Zack is going to embody a similar role that the Whispers had in Remake. I guess in the sense that just like when we played Remake, the Whispers were the thing that was out of place. You know, everything about Remake, the original, it looked normal, but the Whispers were just like the broken simulation. The Whispers were like, hey, I don't remember that. That's an outlier. I think that's kind of their point about Zack and Rebirth, is that when we look at him, everything about him is going to scream, you don't belong here. You weren't here last time. This is a distortion. However you may feel. Because remember, I don't think it's going to be like we have to fight Zack at the end, and only by fighting Zack, you know, the way we had to fight the Whispers. I don't see it like that. I see it more as like he's the outlier. Again, I explained it. I already explained it. Who am I kidding? The Whispers and Sephiroth were very out of place. Yes, see, like, yes, Sephiroth was out of place in the fact he got introduced way earlier, but at least Sephiroth belonged there. You know, it's like, oh, Sephiroth, you shouldn't be in Midgar this early, but Sephiroth does belong in the story. The Whispers, it was like, you weren't there last time. You know? All right. All right, where was I? So yeah, I don't think Zack is going to be as antagonistic as the Whispers. I don't think he's carrying fate itself on his shoulders. Again, I just think he's the outlier. And let's do a little Ultimania stuff. Let's do some Ultimania stuff. So this Ultimania stuff is going to come to us by way of Shinra Archaeology Shinra Archaeology Department. Just dropped their link in the chat, both YouTube and Twitch. Also used them for my video I put up this morning. Okay. Let's talk about Kyrie and Chocobo Bill. Which actually, hang tight. I'm going to be right back. Just need to refill this water. Thank you for waiting. We are back. Okay. So Kyrie is another one that she was kind of an outlier in the original. Not the original, in remake. Because she wasn't in the original. Now, she's from that book Nojima wrote, The Kids Are All Right. But she's a new one too. Here. Let's blow this up a little bit. Okay. Staff comment from level designer Yuri Hioki. Only in intermission do you get to see an encounter between Yuffie and Kyrie, who rather resemble one another. I'm glad they acknowledge it. I never bought into the fact Kyrie was Yuffie, but I'm glad they acknowledge the similar vibe. Both have such cute animations, and both are so cute when they get frustrated after losing. Nothing to really build off there, but a cool little note. Now we got Chocobo Bill. Staff comment from Square Enix Image Studio Division. This one coming from Yuki Sayaki, character modeling director. Chocobo Bill is one of the two oldest characters that have appeared in FF7 Remake thus far. Therefore, what is the other one, Bugenhagen? Or the mayor? Therefore, I asked the person in charge to give him a sharp, weathered look and that would lend a sense of roughness and human depth. Yeah, he looks old as shit. That's what you were going for. Rigging art, okay, he's back. We've clearly defined the wrinkles on the nape of his neck, and we've implemented a system where his throat moves in tandem with his mouth when he speaks, which helps reduce the sense of stiffness you get with CG. Okay, again, cool stuff. Nothing to farm out of there. Not like you can farm a theory or anything out of any of that, but it's cool. Okay, let's move on to this one right here. Oh, wait, actually, I already covered this. Okay. All right. See what the chat's getting on about. Doesn't Zack work like a whisper for Advent Children? He's a whisper from the past to keep Cloud fighting in the present when he has a big fight with Sephiroth. I guess, he's in a... In a sense, he's ethereal like a whisper, but he's not like a whisper. You know what I mean? I wouldn't classify him in the same class as whispers. I thought it was pronounced like Kyrie. No, it's Kyrie. Kyrie. Theory. Sephiroth from Avid Children alters these events. The whispers try to fix it. Zack is brought back and perhaps he will play a part in trying to fix the timeline so that the events lead up to Advent Children. So I'm with the second half of your message there, Granddaddy Otaku. But I don't think the whispers are going to try and fix anything. Because if you go back to the end of Remake where you fight Sephiroth, in the middle of the fight, when you defeat the Harbinger, Sephiroth absorbs all the whispers. So I don't think they're going to try and fix anything, dude. Tiger Weirdo is here. Because I think Cisne might have something to do with Zack's reappearance. Think about it. In Crisis Core, they heavily put it more on Cisne to find Zack. Yeah, Song even says to her straight up, like, Cisne, you're going to be the one to save Zack's life. Okay. So, if you guys recall, I mentioned that I was going to get into a part of an interview that could be considered a little spoilery. That moment is now. Let me just put it that way. That moment is here. So if you're not trying to potentially get spoiled, again, it doesn't confirm anything. It's just that people like myself think there's a strong implication. So if you're even trying to avoid the chance of a spoiler, get out. Whether you're tuning in live or you're tuning in after the fact, you're not trying to get potentially spoiled. Get up on out of here, man. Because we're going there. Okay. I'm going to have to shrink this down. Okay. Yoshinori Kitase and Naoki Hamaguchi. You can learn a lot from The Empire Strikes Back. Here we go, baby. The creators have wanted out. Okay, no, we don't got to read that. Let's move on to the real stuff. I'm not going to read this whole one, but there's a few things in here I did want to read. Okay. So I made a video that I uploaded today that covered this. So this will be a little bit of a retread, but I don't want to talk about it too much because, again, I've already made a video on it. But let's talk about this. Okay. I'll read it starting from here. Okay. Anyone who played Remake knows that those differences might not be so slight, though. Without spoilers, the fates of certain characters have seemingly changed already, which could conceivably shift the direction of the entire story going forward. Or at least, that's what many players expect. But the recent revelation that everything is still heading towards Advent Children throws everything up in the air. Just how much can the Remake trilogy change things if everything still has to ultimately lead up to a movie from 2005? We are finally going to link up with Advent Children. This is going to be part of the canon. Kitase confirms. The overall storyline, the developments, will not go wildly out in a way that will not add up to Advent Children in the end. I don't think anyone wanted that. That's not what we're looking to create here. But to make sure it doesn't become stale and people know where it's going, that it doesn't just follow the original word for word. We add in extra elements which add a little bit of doubt. Getting the right balance of that is so key. Ultimately, we're not trying to change the Final Fantasy VII story into something really different. The overall balance wouldn't really allow for that anyway. Okay. Oh, that's a lot to take in. Oh, that's a lot to take in. But here we go. Guys, look. You can't have an Advent Children without a dead Zack and a dead Aerith. I will say it again for dramatic effect. You cannot have an Advent Children without a dead Aerith and a dead Zack. That's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. And I have to be honest. Don't get me wrong. Still on the edge of my seat. It doesn't confirm anything. But I'm real upset that that came out. They should not have said that. They should not have said that. I know there's some people that were worried that we were going to go into like La La Land and that things were going to go crazy. And maybe they wanted to quell some of those fears and be like, hey, it's still going to be FF7. But I really wish they didn't say this. I really wish they didn't have to say, hey, don't worry, everyone. It's going to add up to Advent Children. You didn't have to say that. We all had a feeling. We all had a feeling how this was going to end. But we liked that you made us scared that something different could happen. So I don't know. What do you guys think? To me, this is like almost a confirmation that, look, maybe Aerith doesn't die the way she did. Zack clearly won't be dying the way he did. But they're both going to die in the end. Seems obvious to me. Seems obvious to me. Honestly, I'm fine with Zack dying and Aerith dying. They have to for Advent Children live stream scene. I just want them to do justice towards Zack. He created Cloud. He was Cloud's inspiration. Like, Zack, do you know how, like, Cloud looked up to Sephiroth as a kid? The truth is, what he thought Sephiroth was is what Zack is. You know? What he imagined Sephiroth would be is what Zack lives out by virtue. So, look, I don't know. I'm still on the edge of my seat. Things could be different. I think the ending of Rebirth, there's going to be some major twist. It doesn't look like the original. But knowing that this is headed towards Advent Children, and I love Advent Children. I'm not hating on this approach. To me, this is the perfect approach. That's the thing. To me, this was the way to do it. This was the way to approach this trilogy. But man, I kind of liked that I was scared. I kind of liked that there was a part of me that was like, anyway, I'm done. Let's move on. There's some cool comments. You guys let me know what you think about that in the chat. Some cool comments here. For you Star Wars fans, they basically, I'm not going to read all this, but they basically confirm that they're modeling Rebirth's narrative after The Empire Strikes Back. And honestly, if you look at Remake is kind of like A New Hope. So Rebirth is going to have some crazy twist at the end that's going to change the way we think about our protagonist, going to change the way we think about our antagonist. It's going to be crazy. I'm telling you right now, The ending of Rebirth is going to drive people insane. I think most people are going to like the ending of Rebirth, but I think it's going to do something so risky, so big, that there's going to be a very loud minority that goes nuts. Nuts. Joshua says, agreed. It was a little too much of a reel. It was too much, dude. It was too much. Aurelita, what's going on? See you hanging out on Twitch. But they gave us too much, dude. Anyway, that aside, let's keep this going. Oh yeah, The Empire Strikes Back. So again, you can expect a pretty major twist at the end of Rebirth. They want people leaving. They want people leaving that game like, and it's not going to be a happy ending. That's the other thing. It will not be a happy ending. The ending of Rebirth is going to hurt. The characters are going to suffer. You are going to suffer. You're going to hate waiting for the third installment because the characters will be in a suspended state of suffering. The DLC will not resolve said suffering. If anything, like Andy Bruce said earlier in the podcast, it could be a Zack DLC that is a retroactive event. So, just be prepared, man. Just be prepared. It's not going to be a happy ending. Okay. There's a little bit more I wanted to talk about from here. Okay. Where was it? Let me see. Here's the thing. I don't like Star Wars. This comparison is making me not want to play Final Fantasy anymore. I mean, it's not like they're not like gonna turn Final Fantasy into Star Wars. They're just structuring the narrative over the way Star Wars structured its trilogy, which I think is a smart thing to do. You know, it's not gonna take an influence from Star Wars in that way. You know what I mean? You're not gonna get to the end and Sephiroth's gonna say, "Cloud, I am your father," but it's gonna leave you just like Empire ended. It was a painful ending. It was suffering. Han was frozen. Luke lost his hand. His father was like a space tyrant. Rebirth's going to do the same thing where we leave with our hands through our hair like, oh my God, how do we get out of this mess? You know? Quarters, Sage of the Lodge is here. Says, hey, Landy, I'm at work, but still came through to show some love. Thank you, Quarters. Thank you. I hope work's going well. Don't work too hard, but get after it, baby. Okay. Then we have a few quotes about the battle system, but we know about all that. We know about all that. Okay. Oh, that was the other thing. That was the other thing. And I don't have this pulled up per se, but I wanted to talk about how they said that they don't want to talk about Genesis. They were asked about Genesis. We might have covered this on the last episode, but I just want to throw it back out there. The fact that they refuse to talk about Genesis makes me think Genesis is coming. I'm going to leave it at that. Yet as far as the narrative goes, Star Wars ends with episode 9. No, but that's not... But Will, they're talking about the original trilogy. Like, trust me, I get it. I'm not a fan of the sequel trilogy, dude. I get it. But they're talking about the original trilogy. Like, they explicitly brought up The Empire Strikes Back. You know, and FF7 is going to be a trilogy. Episode 9 is part of a 9-episode canon. You know? They're not writing Rebirth like it's episode 5. They're writing Rebirth like it's episode 2. So that's all I'm going to say. What up, Blaze? Good to see you here. It would be interesting if there's a turning point in the game where we make a choice that leads to Aerith's fate. You know, I'm not a believer in the multiple endings. I know a lot of people have talked about like, yo, maybe there'll be multiple endings. I don't think so. I think we're going to end up in the same place no matter what. Yeah, they were talking about Empire, the best of Star Wars. Exactly, Granddaddy Otaku. Exactly. They're talking about it as a trilogy because they're planning for this to be a trilogy. So they're thinking episode 2's got to end because Empire was huge, man. Like, I'm lucky enough, like my dad was a big Trekkie nerd, big Star Wars nerd. Like, he loved sci-fi. Still loves sci-fi. So he told me, like, when Empire dropped, it was a spectacle. The cliffhanger they left everyone at had everybody talking for years. That's what they want to do. They want to have that same cultural impact. So they're following the blueprint. Okay. Aerith says there's a lot of FF lore that I don't know, just because I'm not so into the games. Although I really want to play some of them. Aerith, if you're looking to start playing some Final Fantasies, I think some good places to start are either Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy X. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Okay. Chat. Granddaddy Otaku says, yeah, I don't like the idea. But honestly, I wouldn't put it past them to do a multi-ending scenario. I mean, they are doing a timey-wimey thing with the narrative, so it's not completely far-fetched. Yeah, but I know for a fact that that's not how it's going down. Because, dude, they can't sell you a third game if there's multiple endings, right? You can't account for that. You're not going to be able to account for multiple endings when you sell people a third game. You know, oh, this disc is for people who did ending A. This disc is for people who did ending B. So I just don't see it. I think there's one ending and that's it. I think maybe there's some secret cutscenes you can unlock by doing certain stuff. But, yeah, you get my point. Okay. Tiger Weirdo says about Genesis, it's confirmed that he is in the Rebirth trailer. What? Give me the sauce. Give me the sauce. I'm assuming Genesis is the one on the hood saying reunion? No. No. Reunion. Reunion. I don't think so. If they show Genesis, it's going to be Genesis. Excuse me. All right. So, that pretty much covers everything I wanted to bring up. So, I'll hang in the chat for a little bit, answer some questions. Ooh. Starting to remember something. But anyway, let me go run to the bathroom real quick. Refill this water, and then we'll get to the next part of the podcast.
I'm a fool. I spent years studying the workings of the heart. Yet it seems I still haven't learned a thing. The process of encoding hearts is incalculable. The inhabitants of my twilight town were data created from real hearts. I was convinced that they would think and behave the way I had envisioned, but I couldn't have been more wrong. A heart is so much more than any system. I saw it when Roxas and Kairi crossed paths. I knew, but I was too stubborn to accept it. It's always the same. I try to wrap my mind around things my heart already knows, only to fail. I had so many plans in store, but once Sora was an acting force, they fell apart. All my research amounted to nothing compared with that one boy's heart. Have your laugh. I deserve as much for failing to see you for the fool you are. Xehanort, foolish apprentice of a foolish man. My disregard brought chaos to more worlds than one. But what were you seeking? You have surpassed nothing, only proved how little we both know. We may profess to know the heart, but its essence is beyond our reach. We're both ignorant, as oblivious as when we began. I'm afraid that any world you try to create, any world of yours, would be an empire of ignorance.
All right. Back. Thanks for waiting, everybody. Okay. Let's see what you sickos and normies are getting on about. Also, I think the dude theorized Genesis was going to be in Rebirth in some way. If Lodge has a 2, that's good enough for me. You know, Maximilian, dude, he's got a couple theories that have aged quite well. You gotta say. A couple theories which have aged quite well. Okay. Maybe they might pull a Vice with what they do with Genesis. Maybe. But I'm not sold. But I could see something like that happening. Okay. Speaking of Genesis, am I the only one who thinks Cage Horde looks like Genesis's little brother? The red color scheme helps. Not sure I'd agree, but the red color scheme most certainly helps. Okay. But yeah, I mean, look, one of the things that makes me think Genesis is coming is, you know, I think there's going to be a big reunion of characters somewhere suspended in the FF7 space-time. Like, I think Crisis Core guys are coming. Dirge. I think it's all going to converge. Also, I wanted to talk about a little theory I'm working on what Sephiroth's actual plan is. We know he wants to merge the worlds. He kind of gives that away in the latest trailer. We know he wants to merge the worlds. But I think it's more than that. I think he wants to, like, merge everything into Jenova. That's what I think he's trying to do. He wants either Jenova to spread to everything or everything to merge into Jenova. Maybe both at the same time. Because my wife and I were watching Advent Children last night. And they talked about, I believe it was it Kadaj that said it? They kept talking about how do I put it? I'd have to find the exact line in Advent Children, but they talk about Jenova's plan for, like, every one of her children to kind of converge into her. I don't think that means converge it into one vessel, but I think she's trying to, like, create this massive hive mind, right? And that was kind of the point of Advent Children. That's why they wanted to get that into the children, because they wanted to create, like, everything to be part of the hive mind of Jenova. Not just, like, Cloud and Friends and all that, but, like, down to the planet itself. Make the planet a part of that, like, Jenova network, you know? Because that's the thing, and you see it in Advent Children, where, like, things that are connected to Jenova, they're, like, disgusted by the planet. There's a disgust. There's, like, a repulsion, you know? It's crazy shit. But I think, like, yeah, Kevin, exactly that. What they said in Advent Children. Playing, like, Jenova and Sephiroth, they just want the whole planet to be their vessel, right? But now it's like, it wants the live stream. That's what I'm seeing now. With all this crazy stuff going on, interacting with the live stream, Zack is back. I think now Sephiroth wants to make the live stream part of Jenova. Again, integrate it into the Jenova network, if you catch my drift. That's at least what I'm starting to see. Or how I'm making sense of all this. But what do I know? Okay. And with that, let me check a few other things. Let me make sure nothing new dropped. Because they've been dropping stuff all day. Let me see if anything new drops. Ooh! You know, we haven't looked at this yet. We can take a quick look at this. Hold on. We have this Ultimania page. Let's pull this up. Expand. Check this out. What is... Ooh, that's... Ooh, can I decipher that? Oh, here we go. Here we go. We got it. Like how the devil wants to be God, going off the whole idea off FF in the Bible. Yeah, it's similar to that. You know, Jenova, no, it's very, very reminiscent of that. Yo, take care, Will's word. Thanks for hanging, man. Sorry you're not feeling well. But Kevin, that's it, dude. That's it, because Jenova is the calamity from the sky, aka the fallen one. You know what I mean? So that's it right there, man. The devil's pursuit of power, wanting to usurp the kingdom for himself. Jenova is very similar to that. Okay. Okay, so this is what we already know. We already know this. But it's cool. Thought there might be something new in here, but it's just a retread of remake. What do you got here? All right, I'll look this up. I'll look this up. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. I'm going to look this up. I got you, Tiger. I got you. Don't you worry. We're going. Curious Corduroy. Okay. Because that would be interesting. There's a confirmation that Genesis is there. All right, give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, they say, oh, Jesus. Stupid thing. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Katase says, I can't tell you anything about Genesis, but regarding Vincent at the time of FF7, yeah, we knew about this. We knew about that. Sorry. I'm trying to see the part where he's on the... Okay. I don't know, dude. I didn't see anything about Genesis. I went to the video you told me. Anyway. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. Jay says, do you believe Jenova / Sephiroth is truly divine / a god? No. They're powerful after absorbing the life stream, but I'm not sure they're divine. They're predators that feed on flesh and life force. Yeah. I don't know when you chimed in, but we were likening Jenova and like Sephiroth to the devil probably about 3 minutes ago. I would not argue they're divine. They're a perversion of the divine. The names of Genesis and Vincent are also chanted? Huh. I'll have to look into this a little bit more. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. All right. Let's see. You see this? He's what? Yeah, I love that part too, where they call Cloud the black sheep of the family in Advent Children. It's one way of putting it, right? Black sheep. Again, yeah, it's one way of putting it. Okay. So with that, did they mean maybe during the trailer that was being chanted?
Said only to appear when the planet is in grave danger.
Excuse me.
Let me see.
Could you look after my friend? Just for a bit.
Okay, so it's not like it was being chanted in the crowd. Okay. All right, guys. On that note, I've covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover today. This is a bit of a short one, so I think I'm going to let the news pile up a little bit more before we do another FF7 one. I just know they threw so much FF7 stuff on us in the last couple weeks, but we're finally caught up. Landy, I think what Kadajan did has something to do with what you were talking about. Hear me out. It might be long. Okay. I'll let you type it out, and then we'll wrap this episode up. But I'll let you type it out. I'll let us hear you out. Are you referencing the black sheep line? That could be something. That could be something. We covered this scene on one of the recent episodes, which I thought was really good. So Kadajan gets all the children to take... Huh? I'm not making much sense of that. Oh, he gets all the children to the lake, prays to them to get them on... when he takes the children to the lake in Advent Children and essentially starts to bring them into the Jenova cult. Let's put it that way. They get the children, and they basically try to initiate them into the Jenova cult. So I follow you there. Then he goes into the water, and it turns black, infecting it with Jenova cells, and they drink it. I follow you. I'm just not sure where you're headed or exactly what you're implying, Kevin, but I'm going to keep following you. You mean the way that he was able to infect the water is the way Jenova's starting to infect the life stream? Like in a similar way? I could see it. Something like that. Yeah, okay, so that's what you're getting at? Yeah, I could see something like that. You know, Jenova has the ability to infect. She's a virus. She spreads and flies through the cosmos. Eric the Dude, my man, says, what if we see the Angeal copy that turned into a monster from Crisis Core again? Stop! Dude, that would kill me, Eric. Eric, I know it died, but maybe it becomes reborn. Or there's just another copy of it out there somewhere. You know, there's always the chance there's a copy of it. Doesn't have to be the legitimate thing. But dude, that would wreck me. That would absolutely wreck me, dude. Oh man. Crazy stuff. I love Angeal. I think Angeal is I like Genesis, but I liked Angeal more than Genesis. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Again, covered everything I wanted to talk about. You know, you guys keep popping up. Adonai! I've vaguely seen parts of Advent Children. Can someone explain why it's so huge to FF7? Adonai? Honestly, you really got to watch it. I'm not going to be able to do it justice without, like, spoiling it for you. Or, like, because a lot of it can be pretty visual. And I'm sorry, I just got home after 2 hours of driving. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But it's important because, like, honestly, I like the film. It's very character motivated on Cloud, which a lot of people like. And the ending just makes me cry every time. So there's that too. Yeah, no, they won't talk to us about Genesis because he's coming. He's coming. But if they show us Genesis is here, it kind of shows their hand a little bit. So they're probably going to hold their cards. There's not much ways of explaining Advent Children without spoiling it. It's true, because it's a short 90-minute movie, and everything that happens is pretty integral to the plot. I'll get my grubby hands on it soon enough then. Yeah, you should, man. It's a good watch. It's a good watch, man. Honestly, I enjoy watching it. Big question. If Genesis returns, is it the dirge of Cerberus Genesis? That's the big question. Eric the Dude, you're asking the right questions. Which Genesis is it? All the right questions, dude. All right. We're going to wrap it up there. It's been real. I had a good time. Covered everything I wanted to talk about. It was awesome hanging with the chat. Shout out to Uh-Oh9994 for the Prime sub on Twitch. Guys, got a stream Saturday morning, afternoon. Sunday is a Kingdom Hearts podcast. And then I got 2 Kingdom Hearts videos dropping next week. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you check out the FF7 video I put up today. And yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. Love all you guys. Thanks for chilling. And we will see you all on the next one.